Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cubase Secrets. In this episode, I'm going to show you a really creative way that you can customize your loops and make them your own. So you can turn a loop that sounds like this pretty homogeneous, and I'm going to show you how you can turn it into something that sounds like this. So you can really go crazy. Let's get started. I think it's pretty safe to say that pretty much every music producer uses or has used loops in their productions. The great thing with loops is that they're really convenient, they can get you going, they're a nice ingredient to add to your arrangements. But one of the things that is loads of fun is when you start customizing your loops and make them your own. And this you can do very easily inside Cubase, and I'm going to show you a technique that will allow you to transform your loops and take them to completely new levels. Cubase has a really powerful function called offline processing, and this is what I'm going to use in this video, in this example, and I'm going to show you a technique that I'm using all the time if I want to start processing my loops and make them completely custom. Now, the example that I showed you at the very beginning is an extreme example. I've used many different things. You don't have to go overboard like this, but I wanted to show you what's possible. So let me show you these methods, and I hope you will find these useful so that you can start creating your own custom loops. So let's say I have this loop here. So it's pretty standard, but I can completely make it my own. So let's take it step by step so that I can show you how I came up with the result that I showed you at the very beginning of the video. So the first thing I do is I double click on this loop and I open it in the sample editor. What I do straight away is I go to my hit points here. And what I like to do is I like to separate these loops into regions. Now, it's very easy to do this when you use hit points. Let me show you how I do this. I hit edit hit points and then I'm setting up the threshold to my liking and the intensity as well. And the reason why I do this is because I want to separate these loops into little sections so I can process them in a different way. Now I can create slices if I want, so this will separate these loops into chunks. Let me show you. As you can see now, I have different events here. I can create markers if I want to from these hit points, and these are already really great tools. But what I like to do is create regions. And when I hit this, you will see that I have all the regions right here. This window appears and I can see all my regions. And I can select them very easily like this. And that's why I like to work this way, because I can just scroll and I can move to all the regions very easily. And it goes without saying, I can rename these regions. So maybe the first one is called kick, and this one is my snare, and so on and so forth. You can be really organized this way. Let's get into the fun stuff. Now, all I need to do is I can go to audio and go to direct offline processing, or just hit F7 on your computer keyboard. And this is where the fun begins. With this dialog, I can start processing every single region in a different way. One of the things that I would suggest when you start doing this process is that you make sure you have auto apply checked so that all these processes happen straight away without you having to hit apply every single time. It's a huge time saver if you do this. What I like to do when I start doing something like this is I like to add a gain process at the very beginning. So I'm going to select gain, and as you can see, I have a -5 dB gain, so I'm reducing the level by 5 dBs. This is because when I add the processing, I want to have a little bit of headroom, because otherwise I will have nowhere to go. Most loops tend to be really loud, and they tend to be at -1 dB or even 0 dBs, and this way you have no headroom. If you add a process, a plugin, it's going to add more gain, and then you're going to clip. So that's not good. So I'm always making sure that I have a little bit of headroom. Sometimes I go even more than 5 dBs. depending on what I'm planning to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start selecting my regions. For example, I'm going to go to my kick drum, and let's say I want to leave this way. I'm going to keep it the way it is. Let's say I want to go to my snare here, and for this snare, I want to add some reverb. So I can go to my plugins here, and now I'm going to type Revelation, and I'm going to add a Revelation instance. And as you can see, immediately, this is already selected, and we've added a little bit of reverb to this snare hit. And if I want to, I can change the time, and you will see it will update straight away. I can change the shape, and let's play it again. Now, let's say I want to select another region. Maybe I want to select this region here, and I can process it, and I can maybe reverse it. And now I have this result. Other things that you can do, of course, you can add all the different effects that you want. And I'm going to show you what I've added in the previous loop that I showed you. But let's go here, and this is going to be a rim shot. But let's go to the next rim shot, maybe here. And maybe for this one, I want to pitch shift it. So maybe I can go and add a pitch shift. And I might want to pitch it down, let's say, several semitones. And let's listen. Or I want to pitch it up. So already I'm customizing this loop by changing all the different elements. And I'm also creating a little bit of interest. Sometimes I might want to process several regions. So let's say I want to select this region here. And maybe I want to extend this. Sometimes I like to extend this, and I add a different process there. Now, in this case, I want to add another pitch process. I'm going to go to pitch shift, and instead of using the transpose mode here, I can use the envelope mode, and I can create a pitch up or pitch down effect. Let's listen. Or I can go the other way around. So there are many different things that you can do to customize this loop and make it your own. Everything that I do here, by the way, is non-destructive. The loop remains like this in the background, and Cubase generates a new file every single time I do something. So if I want to remove any one of these processes, I can do it like this very easily. I can bypass them, or I can completely remove them by right-clicking and saying delete, make permanent, or delete all. Now, if I select make permanent, that means that these are going to be embedded into the file. I never do this. There is no reason why you would do this, in my opinion. Let me show you now what I've done in this loop that I showed you at the very beginning. Let's listen to it. So what I've done here is I've turned this into an ear candy loop. It's a type of loop that is restless, that you never expect what's going to happen next. And this might be really useful for fills, for unexpected moments in a song to add a little bit of interest. Let me show you what I've done. I'm gonna select the event and I'm going to hit F7. And as you can see, I have done quite a few different things. So the great thing with the offline processing is if I select this, you will see I have my gain, -5 dBs. Then I have a pitch shift that I can turn on and off. And you will see that if I remove a process, it gets selected straight away so I can see where I've applied this process. Then I have a reverb that's applied to this rim shot. I have bit crushers. I have destroyer. I have mod machine that is applied right here. Let's listen to it. Just a little bit of flavor right there. I have some reverse processes, like in this section, for example. I have some effects modulator processes, for example, in this section. I'm using the Metallizer plugin to create this really metallic sound right here. I have a ring modulator effect right here. And it goes on and on and on. You can process each one of these regions in a separate way, and it goes without saying that if you want to select any section freely, you can do this as well and process it. If you want to add a limiter for the entire loop, you can do this very easily. I'm going to select the loop. I'm going to search for limiter, and I'm going to add a limiter at the end. And as you can see, I can just make this loop a little bit louder. But this way, I'm making sure I'm never clipping. And I can change the release. And the great thing is you can see straight away how the waveform looks. If I change the release, you can see immediately how the loop gets transformed, which is really interesting and really useful. So let's play it. So there you go, this is a technique that you can use to make your loops sound unique, customize them and make them your own. I hope you learned something from this video. Let us know in the comments down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let us know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, have fun and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.